What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. It is Saturday, March the 8th, and I'm gonna go down here and show you what we got going on. So this past week on Monday, Tennessee State Forestry showed up and came out here, and look back here behind me. They started bulldozing in the fire breaks. Walk down through here and show you. I'll probably have to adjust the camera several times because it is not the best time of day to be doing a video. But I have got a full plate of stuff I've got to do. I've been out of town working for the past couple days. Back in town now, and I'm here through this burn time. They're supposed to show up here. Current plan is that they're going to come back. So today's Saturday. They're going to come back either Monday or Tuesday, and they're going to do the whole burn. So we're looking at 16, 17 acres is what we're burning here. So you look back here behind me, you see all the blackberry back here behind me. So blackberry multiflora rose, it's a jungle. I let it get out of control. A few years ago, I was maintaining everything. Tractor broke down on me, and it ended up going through an entire fall season, and I ended up not bush hogging it. The next spring rolled around. Tractor broke down on me again, and I missed another season of bush hogging. I could have maybe went and rented something to do it with, but I didn't. So you can see here, I mean, if I go over here and stand, I mean, this stuff is way up over my head if you look back through there. So it's just a mess, a jungle in there. Thankfully, it's not any worse. There are some areas that are pretty bad. And then you see here, back here, you see the tree sticking up. That's a calorie pear. That's basically a wild Bradford pear. Those things develop great big spikes on them that come out. They're not truly spikes or thorns, but they're like that. They can puncture a tractor tire. So after this burn's over with, I'm going to have to go through on the bush hog, and I'm going to have to bush hog down as much as I can that remains from the burn. So what's going to happen is, so you see here, you've got some green blackberry canes here. These are not going to burn. These will not burn, but all the dead 4 or 5 year undergrowth of blackberry of canes that are dead and piled up on the bottom, and the vines and the honeysuckle that's dead and all that stuff should burn. There's plenty of fuel for the fire, and I'll show you more as we go down in here. But this whole upper edge, this is the pine thicket down here, this whole upper edge up through here, that's all going to end up getting burned. So there should be plenty of fuel there to do that with. Now over here on the other side, this is my uncle's side back over here. Boy, that lighting really changed. He did not want his side burned. So I'm going to have to figure out a plan for how to get that under control. I'm trying to maybe see if I can get a bobcat. We've got the bobcat here on the farm, but it's not big enough. I'm thinking about trying to get a bobcat out here with a front bush hog or a brush grinder on it to go through and just chop all that up, so that way I can get it back into a condition where I can start bush hogging it again. But anyway, we're going to make our way down the trail here. So you look back here behind me, I may have to adjust the lighting so you can see the path. So they brought a really heavy duty bulldozer out, and I wish I had gotten some video of them working here because it was really pretty neat to see, but I was busy working inside. Came outside and they had already done part of it, but they just basically, they didn't bring a chainsaw or nothing. Boy, that's dark. They didn't bring a chainsaw or nothing. They just pushed their way down through here, and you can see the path going all the way down. This is just going down the property line down through here. But as we walk through, kind of spin you around over there, so you can see over here on this section of the pines, there's some deadfall. There's not a whole lot of deadfall in this section. There is a lot of leaf matter and pine needles on the ground that's going to contribute a lot of fuel to this burn. But this side over here is not that bad. There's not a whole lot of deadfall. There's a decent amount of leaf litter. The plan is that this dirt section here where the fire break is at is going to help to keep the fire from spreading over onto the uncle's property, aunt and uncle's property over there. State Forest told me that they're going to bring probably 2 bulldozers out when they come, and probably 6 guys to work this fire. The cool thing is that the local fire department, they found out in the process of trying to get the burn permit and everything taken care of, when they found out about this, they said that this would be an excellent learning opportunity for their guys. And so they're wanting to send some of their, I don't know what you call them, like trainees maybe, I guess, and maybe a couple other guys that need to re-up on some training. They're wanting to send them over here to help work the fire, and they're saying it could be as many as 30 guys that they contribute to this burn. And I'm like, that's fine with me. Send as many as you got. You know, I'll take as many as we can get just to try to keep this thing under control, because last thing I want is this fire to get out of control and create some damage somewhere. There's been enough wildfires here in East Tennessee. Boy, there's big old dog tracks. Wow. Big dog tracks going down this path here. Canine, not probably big coyote tracks, honestly. But I was saying there's been enough wildfires in this area, especially this past week. We had some severe weather come through, really high winds, 60 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts, and there were wildfires broke out in the area. So a lot of people are really nervous about it. But the worst thing you can do is leave this kind of stuff right here unchecked and unmaintained. You need to maintain this stuff, because if a fire were to break out, it would come racing up this hill extremely fast, and my house is just right up there. Whereas if I go through and I burn this off, that's going to knock down that fuel on the ground, and it's going to reduce the risk of a wildfire getting out of control if one were to break out. What I do have to figure out though next is, what is the interval and the frequency at which these controlled burns need to happen. I'm going to work my way down here. It's really steep and slick. There's a bunch of deer tracks. And I'll show you some more down here when I get to the bottom. All right, now we're down in the lower field down here. This is where we pick a lot of our blackberries. And so I've got paths. I've got roads and paths mowed all through here, horizontally, side hill. And what we're going to do, basically, like up above, we're going to burn from this road over this direction. This isn't as bad as the stuff up top. There are more trees that have come up in this. This has been maintained a little bit better. Once again, you know, what I'm thinking is we're going to burn, and then I'll come over behind after we burn, and I'll bush hog down the stuff that isn't burned up, and then I'll just have to come behind with the chainsaw and saw down any remaining. So that pine tree, those poplars over there will have to come down. That autumn olive, there's a big stand of sumac right there. Those, I don't know if those will burn or if I have to cut them down. I'm not sure, but this is going to be really interesting. I mean, this is the first time in 50 plus years this has been burned. It's not very common that you get a lot of burns out here in this area that we're in. I did some work 2 weeks ago in South Georgia. So I was in the Valdosta area for a while, then I drove from Valdosta to Birmingham, and there were controlled burns the entire way from Valdosta to Birmingham. So that's really common down there. It's not that common here in East Tennessee. So you see here's kind of one of the paths that I had maintained. What I do is I come through and I mow it down with the bush hog, and then we pick blackberries on the uphill side and the downhill. Likewise, right here on the other side of this on this autumn olive right here. Come here. There's another path that I keep mowed off. But you see this multiflora rose coming up right here. So there's another one, and then right here is another one. So, I mean, this isn't that bad. It's about every 6 feet, every 6 to 8 feet, I have another row mowed through it, another road pass. But we're going to burn all the way down to the road down there. We're actually going to use the road as the lower fire break. So we're going to burn all the way into the ditch is the plan. All right, now we're over on the other side of my pine thicket. And this area over here is the side that has me more concerned. And when I was walking it the other day with State Forest guys, the guy running it is actually my cousin. And so when we were over here looking at this, he has the same concern that I have. And I'll show you here in just a minute when I get over here what that is. All right, we're over on the far edge of my pine thicket now. And this is almost purely pines in this area. There are a couple of poplars that have come up, but for the most part, and there's a maple, but there are mostly pines in this area. Well, there is a large number of dead pines here. I mean, I'm standing here looking in front of me, and within 30 yards of me, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 dead pines still standing right here in front of me. And Ideally, the control burn is going to come through here and it's going to burn up everything on the ground. And there's a lot of deadfall. I don't know if you can see it, but back over here behind me, there's a pine on the ground over there. There's 2 pines on the ground up here in front of me. There's one up there that's dead, and I didn't even count that one. There's another one I missed. There's one dead right there that's fell over into the top of another tree, and it's kind of, they call it a widowmaker, you know, because the trees fell, it's leaning part way over, but it's suspended up in the top of another tree. So if you go in and you try to cut that tree while it's hanging there, you got to be careful on how you're cutting it, because, you know, it can come out on you and drop down on you, and, you know, widowmaker, that's the reason for the name. But the ideal situation is that the fire comes through fast and it burns all the leaf litter and pine needles on the ground, and it doesn't necessarily focus on the dead standing trees. That it goes through so fast and it burns everything on the ground that it doesn't really have time to start burning up the dead tree. If it starts burning up the dead tree, then Forest Service said they're going to have a whole other set of challenges here. Thankfully, they're going to have plenty of people out here. I don't really know what they're going to do. If it starts to go up one of the trees, I don't know if they come in with the dozer and push it down, or if they, I don't know. I have no idea. This is, you know, they didn't tell me what they're going to do. They just said that's their biggest concern and what they're going to be primarily watching for. But we've got to get the right weather conditions. We have had breezy weather conditions since that weather came through on Tuesday night. We've had breezy conditions, 15, 20 mile per hour winds, gusts every day, and they can't burn in those kind of conditions. There's actually been burn bans in the area since then. I saw that most of the burn bans have been lifted now because we did get rain a couple days, and the humidity's going back up, which we were really low humidity, which also with the wind and low humidity, that increases the wildfire risk. But so we got to get the right weather conditions in order for this really to happen this week. If it doesn't happen Monday or Tuesday, I think it's supposed to rain again Wednesday, and then that's probably going to push it out another week. And there is a waiting list for people to get this done. I've been on the list for 13 months, and they're just now able to get here to me. So, you know, you got to play it by ear. You don't know what the weather's going to do. You're at the mercy of the weather, and hopefully we get this thing taken care of. I'm going to walk on up here, and I may show you one more place here in just a second. I mean, if you just look over through there, you can see the tangled mess of deadfall that's over in there. There's, just looking from here without walking over in it, I think there's 8 trees on the ground right over in there. That's a lot of fuel. Now the catch is, it's all loblolly pine, and it's been on the ground for 3 or 4 years, and most of it's rotten. So it's not really going to burn up in a, you know, wild blaze. It's going to more than likely just smolder. Anytime you try to burn something rotten, usually it just kind of smolders and sits there. It doesn't really do a intense hot burn like things like pine needles and leaves and fresh deadfall and stuff like that will do. So over there's my aunt and uncle's pine stand. It's very similar to mine down here below me. That is all also going to be burned. You might be able to see a little bit. The power lines and the fiber optic line runs up just on the edge of the pines. So State Forestry the other day, they actually took their dozer up underneath the power line to clean out anything underneath it to try to minimize the risk of a flame or intense heat coming up from below it and damaging any of those lines. I work from home. The wife works from home. My aunt over there works from home part of the time. So if we lose the fiber optic line, then we have no way to work at that point. So it's kind of a big deal. We need to keep that under control and not let it get too hot. And then there's 2 water lines. So, all right, well, that's it. Kind of giving you the rundown of what we're going to have going on here with the burn. I'm going to do my best to get some video footage of the burn while it's going on. You know, it all depends on how close they're going to let me get to it and what's going on, how hot it is, what the weather conditions are. But I'm going to do my best to try to document it because it is such a unique, you know, event for us to have done in this area. But thank you all for coming along. This is all going to be kind of part of the property management series that I'm going to do for this channel. What was that? I used to do one every year, and then I got away from it the past couple years, partially because my workload, my travel, work schedule was so busy that I didn't get to do the kind of property management around the farm that I normally do. So, oh, it's the dog. Sadie's in there barking. So, I'm going to try to get back to it this year, and even if it's not as much as I used to do, just kind of keeping everybody up to speed on what we're doing for property management, habitat management here, just so everybody knows what's going on, and I can share with you, the progress and hopefully the results when hunting season comes back around. So thank you so much for coming along. If you haven't yet, I'd appreciate if you go and hit the like and subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you're doing any of this, have you ever done a prescribed or controlled burn on your property? Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.